Hi, 7th grade. Welcome to your final day of week 1. So you're going to log in, you're going to take your attendance. That should be the first thing you do. After you take your attendance, you're going to go to your student-friendly lesson. You do have a few things to do today, so please pay attention. I'm going to enlarge this so you guys could see along with me. Okay, so you have a warm-up question. It's giving you a diameter and it's asking you to find the the area rounded to the nearest hundredth. So you should all be able to do that at this point. That's what we did on Tuesday. Okay, then here's a quick refresher of your formulas that we've been going over daily. So circumference, you have C equals pi times diameter, and then you have also C equals 2 times pi times r. Then you have the area formula, which is area equals pi times radius squared. So just a reminder of those. So today we're going to be using the solve strategy that we've done in class before. So you're going to be given a word problem and you're going to be asked to answer the word problem using the solve strategy. So there is a question that I will walk you through. So it says the mean radius of the Earth is 6,371 kilometers and the mean radius of the Earth's moon is 1,737.5 kilometers. What is the approximate difference in the mean circumferences in kilometers of the Earth and the Earth's moon? Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a kilometer. Okay, so first thing when we use our solve strategy is you want to underline the question, and then you also want to answer the prompt that says this problem is asking me to find. So in this question, I would have underlined right here, what is the approximate difference in the mean circumferences in kilometers of the Earth and the Earth's moon? All right, and this problem is asking me to find the difference of those two. So we are looking for the difference of the circumference of the Earth and the Earth's moon. Okay, so that's going to be our S step. O is what do we need to know? We want to identify the facts. We want to cross out the unnecessary facts, and usually we just list those important items. So the things that seemed important to me was that the radius of the Earth is 6,371 kilometers, and the Earth's moon, so I'm just going to write moon, that radius is equal to 1,737.5 kilometers. Okay, so I'm just making my list like you guys would using the strategy. Okay. What else do I think is important? I think I should keep in mind that we're looking for a difference. And a difference in their circumferences, right? That's what the problem said. So difference in, and then also we have to round to the nearest tenth. So nearest tenth. Okay, so here is my list for our O step. So I wrote down the two measures we were given, our two radiuses, and then I also wrote down the difference in C, which is standing for circumference, and that we have to remember that we are rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, so that's all the information we know so far. We then go down to the next step, which is our L step, and that's lining up a plan. So our plan would be to first find the circumference of the Earth. So I'm going to write that C of the Earth. And then second would be to find the circumference of the moon. And then our final step would be to subtract the circumference. I'm just going to write that. Subtract the circumferences. Okay, so my plan, again, would be find the circumference of the Earth, find the circumference of the moon, and then subtract the circumferences, because they, again, want the difference in the two circumferences. And we should know already that we're rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I need to erase my board to just allow for some more room for our work. I'm going to move down to the V step of solve, which is to verify, which is where you show your work. So let's figure this out. So for the Earth and the moon, we were given a radius. So when given a radius, if we're looking for circumference, remember we can use either this formula or this formula. But we're given a radius, so let's use this one. Okay? So I'm going to start with the Earth. So we have Earth. Oops, I misspelled Earth. Okay, Earth. And we're going to use C equals 2 times pi times r. Okay, so we know that the radius of Earth is 6,371. So I'm going to plug that into my formula. So C equals 2 times pi times 6,371. Okay, and then using my commutative property, I know I can multiply these two numbers. So I'm going to do that. So that would give us 2, 4. Woo, ran out of room. Let me rewrite that so it's nicer. 12,742. Okay, so it would be 12,742 times pi. And then we need our answer out of terms of pi because it asked us to round to the nearest tenth. So we're going to actually do this calculation now. So I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to put in 12,742 times pi. And we get an answer of 40,030 point. Now if I'm rounding, I'm going to look at my tenths place. It's a 1. 7 would make that 1 go up. So it's going to be 40,030.2. Okay, and then we know that it's kilometers. So that is our circumference for the Earth. Again, we use the formula C equals 2 times pi times r. We got, we plugged in the numbers that we know, which was our radius. We multiplied 2 times 6,371. We got our circumference in terms of pi, but since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we had to do this multiplication, and we then got 40,030.2 kilometers. So again, that's for the Earth. Now we have to do the same thing for the moon. So let's do that over here. So again, we're going to do moon, and we're going to use the same formula. Okay, so the moon was 1,737.5 for the radius. I'm going to plug that in. So we now have C equals 2 times pi times 1,737.5. So again, I'm going to multiply my 2 and my 1,737.5. Let me do that in my calculator. Okay, and that gives us 3,475. And I bring down my pi. So now this is my answer in terms of pi, but again, that's not what they were asking us for. They were asking us to round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to now do that. I'm going to do 3,475 times pi. And that answer would be 10,917. And again, we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So in the tenths place, it's 0. Next to it is a 3. So we would just stay at 0. Okay, so for the moon again, we were finding the circumference, C equals 2 times pi times r. We plugged in the radius for r. We then did 2 times the radius. We got our answer in terms of pi by multiplying those two numbers and adding pi. And then since they're asking us to round to the nearest tenth, we did 3,475 times pi and got our answer for the moon's circumference. So now we have the Earth's circumference, we have the moon's circumference. So the last thing we have to do is subtract those two numbers. So I'm going to do that up top here where I have some more space. So our difference difference would be 40,030.2 minus 10,917. So very large numbers, but we have our calculator to help us out. So I'm going to do that over here. So I'm going to put in 40,030.2 minus 10,917, and we get our final answer, which is 29,113.2. Okay, and then we would want to just make sure that we put our units. So it would be km. Okay, and then if I go back to the problem, if you look at your answer choices, the answer on the problem is about 1/10 off, but that's probably because we rounded as we were calculating. Sometimes they use like those really long decimals and then they round in the end. But out of these 4 choices, you should see that B is the closest answer to what we just solved together. Okay, so a little bit of a long problem, especially with those larger numbers. You would want to make sure you do your E step, which is where you examine your results, right? You want to make sure that you put your answer in a sentence. So my sentence would be the difference between the Earth and the Earth's moon would be 29,113.2 kilometers. And if you want to say about that, because our answer is definitely reasonable given the choice of 29,113.1, only 1/10 off. Okay? All right, so I'm going to erase my board. Okay, so the rest of the lesson, it gives you another problem to try on your own. Again, we set it up so that you have your solve strategy there to assist you. This problem, they're having you compare the bottom of a round pan compared to the bottom of a rectangular pan. We gave you those formulas because normally those formulas would be provided to you on your reference sheet. So use those to answer this question on your own and see if you could do it. Check your work against the answer key lesson. Okay, you have the solve strategy as a support so you can line up your plan, verify your answer, write your answer in a sentence when done. And then today we are asking you to do 2 questions using the solve strategy, and they're posted on Google Classroom. It says to have them completed by 2:30, but I think we're allowing them to be submitted later on. So I just want to clarify this because I feel like this was a little confusing for some students. So here is your solve practice sheets for day 5. So I give you all the directions here. This is what you're going to do. You're going to click on the assignment. So some classes are completing 1, some classes are completing 2. 701, 706, 711, you guys are completing 2. I know that for sure. Other classes, it was up to their teacher. So you click on the assignment, okay? You're going to either print the assignment, complete it, and take a picture, or you're going to answer the problem in your notebook and take a picture, or you can type your answers right into the document, because when you guys click on this, there's a setting placed on this where every student that clicks on it gets their own individual copy. So whatever option works best for you. I know some of you don't have a printer at home, which is fine. So you can either print it, complete it, take a picture. You can answer in your notebook, take a picture of your work that's in your notebook, or you can write right on the document, okay? When you are done, you're going to click your work. It comes up on yours. It doesn't come up on mine because I'm in the teacher version. But then you click on your work. You're going to click add or create. Okay, you're clicking that because you want to attach the file, the screenshot, the picture, whatever it is that you decided to do this work in. Then you click upload and you click turn in. If you have any questions doing this, just let your teacher know in either a private message, on the stream, comment on this assignment, however is best for you to communicate with your teacher so that we can get this assignment in for you. Okay, so you have a solve question on circumference and you have a solve question on area. As long as you're getting the general gist of this, guys, it doesn't need to be like 5 pages long. We just want to see that you're breaking down the problem, that you're showing your work, and that you're answering it in a complete sentence when done. Okay, so that's that portion of the lesson. I'm going to jump back into it because then there is a review for your evidence. Okay, so the warm-up question goes over circumference, and then that's your second warm-up, and then the second one is a review of area. Okay, and then you're scheduled to take your evidence. This again is your first assessment for marking period 1, so make sure that you review all material. Make sure you check your work before submitting it. So I just wanted to go over a few things for you for your evidence. So the first question on your evidence is asking you to find the circumference of a circle or a circular figure. Okay, when you find circumference, remember you have the option of using either of the 2 formulas. So you're either using C equals pi times diameter or C equals 2 times pi times r. So depending on what the problem gives you, if it gives you a diameter, you're using this formula. If it gives you a radius, you're using this formula. I believe on the evidence it asks you to round to the nearest tenth, so your answer will not be in terms of pi. You will wind up doing that calculation when you multiply by pi and have to round. Okay, that's question 1. Question 2, it asks you to find the area of a circle. I believe it's like of a rink of some sort, like an ice skating rink. When you find the area of a circle, you use this formula. Area equals pi times radius squared. Okay, so if they give you a radius, you plug it in, you raise it to the 2nd power first, and then you would multiply by pi to round your answer. Okay, if they give you a diameter, then you would just cut it in half first and then plug it in for your radius, raise that to the 2nd power, and then multiply by pi. Okay, the third question, they ask you to find the difference in circumferences. So it's very similar to the solve question I just did with you, where you're going to have to find the circumference of one figure and then find the circumference of another figure, and then you're going to be subtracting them. So it's very similar to the one we just did. You are rounding to the nearest tenth again. Okay, so that's what you should expect for question 3. Question 4, they give you a circumference in terms of pi and they ask you for the area. So what does that look like? That is circumference equals, I just want to make sure I don't give you the one that's on there. Let me look real quick. Okay, so circumference equals, let's say 20 pi. Okay, if this is our circumference in terms of pi, then we should know at this point that 20 is my diameter. If 20 is my diameter, then at this point you should also know that your radius is 10. Okay, in order to find an area, you need a radius. So the area formula again is area equals pi times radius squared. So you're going to plug in 10 where you see r. So this would now be area equals pi times 10 squared. And they ask you to find the area in terms of pi. So all you need to do is 10 squared. 10 squared, or 10 times 10, is 100. So our area in terms of pi would be area equals 100 pi. Okay, so here it is again. circumference equals 20 pi. They're asking us to find the area in terms of pi. Given this information, I know that 20 is your diameter, which makes then your radius 10. If we're finding area, we're using this formula. We plug in 10 for the radius. We're looking for the area in terms of pi, so all we need to do is 10 to the second power, or 10 times 10, and we get our final answer, that area equals 100 pi. Okay, and then the last question, there's 5 questions on your evidence. The last question is, given an area in terms of pi, what's the radius? So they would give you something like this, area equals, let's say 49 pi. This is the lesson you guys did yesterday. If area equals 49 pi, then all you need to do is take the square root of this number to figure out your radius. So we would do the square root of 49. And the square root of 49 is what number times itself equals 49. And that number is 7. So the radius would equal 7. If they ask you for the diameter, which I don't think they do, but if they do, you just take that number and multiply it by 2. Your diameter would have been 14. Okay, so for your evidence, first question, you're going to be asked to find a circumference. You use either one of these formulas depending if you are given a radius or a diameter. Second question, area. This is the formula you need to use. Plug in your value, round to the nearest tenth. Question 3, you're finding the difference in circumferences. So you have to find circumference of the first figure, circumference of the second figure, and then you subtract them for your final answer. Question 4, they're going to give you a circumference in terms of pi. You figure out what the diameter and the radius is. You then take that radius, plug it in, because you're looking for the area in terms of pi. Once it's plugged in, you keep solving until pi and a number is the only thing left. So your answer was 100 pi for this example. Okay, and then the last one, they're giving you an area in terms of pi. They want to know what the radius is. So all you do is you take that square root of the radius squared, you take the square root of it, and then that would be your final answer for your radius. Okay, so good luck tomorrow on your evidence. I hope this helped you. Please, please, please make sure you review before you take that, because again, it's counting as your assessment grade. All right, enjoy your weekend.